Yeah, when we're done with all this, I'd like to sit down and talk about costs. You know, what does this stuff cost, you know, to do? I think it's one of those things, like what we'll do is we'll sit down and we'll go through a whole, here's what we did to the car, here's what this costs. And people can have an idea of what it, and I'm sure lots of people are going to be sticker shock.
Retail,
but this will help.
Cost.
Yeah, this will help show people what, you know, help you make a decision of whether you know this. This would be great if you can come in and, you know, say, okay, $1,000 and you get your car corrected and full wrap. Everybody would sign up for that, but it's not. That's not how it works. There's too much time, too much expertise, too many people. Product alone is expensive. So sharing, you know, what it costs and now knowing what goes into it, and people will be able to make a decision on the value of, is it worth it to them? Now knowing all of the information. All right, so what's this piece for? Is this the front bumper?
This is the bumper. So
but you plotted this out.
Correct. So this is a modified pattern. And what we're doing is weeding. So separating the pattern from the excess.
Yeah, I can see it now. It's really hard to see. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera with the light, where it's plotted out. What is it, a laser?
No, it's a blade.
So who provides the plotters? Suntek?
Well,
they have relationships with manufacturers of those?
Plotter we use is Graphtech, which is it's a hardware company. It's not a software company. And then Suntek provides patterns. Kind of pretty much every major paint protection player on the market right now provides patterns. It's really up to the installer what pattern they like the best, what fitment they're comfortable working with.
Yeah. So, like, let's say, like the mirrors that you took off, would you do would you PPF those before you put them back on or after?
After. We'll put them back on, and those will be the last piece that we'll probably do.
Gotcha.
And we use expel patterns, but Suntek don't. So you can mix and match.
Yeah.
Like I said before, it's really just what you're comfortable using, what you've been using for a while, what you feel like is the best fitment. You get really comfortable with the consistency of certain patterns that you're using, as well as the ability to manipulate them. So this one, like right here, if you can see this, right here should be a dip where the headlights are. Since we took them out, I extended that edge.
So that way you'll be able to put them underneath the headlight.
Correct. So that's the general shape. down to size, so all you're really working with is one specific pattern at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Additionally, we wrap the edge that's going to go into the front bonnet. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward pattern.
What do you think, like, when you do the rear bumper, and I go to take the bumper cover off to put the exhaust on, you think that's going to matter?
You mean the body flex?
Yeah.
No. We've done that before, and we haven't had any issues with it. I mean, once the film's dried onto the surface, it's a pretty good bond.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're going to be reckless with it and start pinching it, yeah, maybe you might have some little distortion in kind of the pinch areas, but other than that, I don't think you're going to have an issue.
All right, so same prep process as everywhere else on the front bumper.
Yeah, so we just did our prep wipe down, a couple prep wipe downs, did edge prep where we're going to be wrapping up here into the bonnet and then into the headlights, just this little area right inside the headlights. Doing my quick detail wipe down.
So this is going to be the area where we're going to have to take the most care with edges, right? Because this will have the most
exposed edges.
Yeah.
Correct. Two wipes.
I was waking up at 3 a.m. wanted to trying to decide if I wanted to do the badges on it or not. All right, Jacob. We needed to get you on this whole. We need stretchable film, so that we can, just like wrapping a car, where we can not have to do any kind of no edges.
Oh, Dan will get it. He's got a great eye for detail.
I'm talking about you need to get on the technology so that I can have this all one big piece and not have any edges. That's what I need.
The idea behind a lot of pattern development is, of course, the fewer seams are possible. If it's possible to do it without a seam, because I think the way you feel is the way all of our installers feel. The fewer the seams, the better.
Yeah.
But the good thing about our film is when there is a seam, if you butt the film up properly, and you'll probably notice it on Dan's seams, if you get that good seam, it goes almost seamlessly together to the point where you can't feel it. It's hard to even see.
Oh, that's what we need to order also, Dan, is clear side markers. I'd rather not be pulling them out after your film is done.
What Dad's doing here is really nice. You see he's moving around the different tack point areas, kind of like pre-stretching, I guess is what you would call it, right, Dan?
Yep.
Yep, he's just getting everything pulled out and tacking certain points, getting everything pre-stretched, get a lot of those fingers worked down as small as possible, and then he'll go back and get the areas in between them, which is the best way to install the film. You'll notice that across that front edge, there were huge fingers. If you tack this point.
Fingers are where it
Yep, you'll see the large bunches of film.
bubbles up,
Yep, which is where PPF is different than tint. Those fingers of tint, you will crease them and damage the film. much less likely with PPF, but that's exactly what he's doing. You saw him stretch across the front bumper, and
So in tint, you would heat shrink it
you would
rather
heat
than
shrink
stretch it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
It's almost like I've had a child. You know, with all the people congratulating me.
That's funny. Oh, Dan, I think it's a little more tedious there talking through the front bumper.
Welcome to my world. I have to talk through everything, and I don't know what I'm doing ever. You know, it's like imagine you don't know what you're doing on anything you're doing, and you have to talk through it.
Yeah.
It's tricky. Luckily, I have that gift of gab for some reason.
Are you rolling?
Yeah, I'm rolling.
Okay, cool. So what we just did was pre-stretched, right? So all the fingers, the majority of the fingers are out. Now we're going to start tacking. So besides a certain tack point, everything should be floating. We're just going to systematically go through.
When he's saying floating, that's with the soap and water solution, preventing the film from sticking to the car. The tack is the alcohol and water mixture that will basically flush out the soapy water and allow the adhesive to tack quickly to the paint. That's important if you need somewhere to tack or bite, so you can do a stretch. The tack solution, the alcohol and water, is really important. If not, with just the soapy water, you squeeze it down, it could snap loose and pull away. Mm-hmm. It needs a little bit more time to tack, so that alcohol and water is important.
Promotes
for
that. Right?
Exactly. What you're seeing here from Dan is one competitive advantage for us. Feedback from our customers is that obviously you're going to have to relift some areas to go back under some contamination or maybe a trapped air pocket or something like that. So the repeated lifting of the film and squeezing it back down, lifting, squeezing back down, puts a lot of stress on the adhesive. And there are films out there where you'll see all that. We'll call them work lines, glue distortion or work lines, lift lines. You'll see every time he went under there and had to squeegee it back down. Whereas our film is really forgiving, so it gives him the ability to do his job better, but also gives you a better finished product because you will not see those areas.
Also, I didn't really aggressively lock down that panel. So as you can see, as I'm looking at anything that I'm squeegeeing down, multiple different angles, multiple different times. And before I do a really aggressive tack or a lockdown, I'm making sure that the panel's ready to go. So I don't have to fish anything out.
Yeah. Telling you, I'm gonna create the perfect sprayer. I'm working on it for you, Dan.
Thank you.
For the industry.
We'll buy it.
I know everybody would love to have it. 360-degree spray ability, good trigger. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to have it
Spray
made.
upside down?
Yeah, there's lots of them that do that now, but they're not very good. Like no one. I think the industry or the whatever, the bottling industry or spraying industry in general doesn't believe that anybody would want a nice sprayer. So you'll do the same thing with edges on the front bumper too? You'll...
Correct. Anything that we're going to wrap, I'm going to let dry. Like this wraps over, overhang, we're going to let that dry. This afternoon, we'll come back and lock it down. The technology has advanced so much in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the market's demanding higher and higher quality of film, higher quality of installations as well. So, you know, I'm not going to be surprised in a couple of years if technology doesn't match that.
And you were mentioning earlier about using heater stain for install. It's a pretty old school thing at this point. That used to have to happen to soften the film up to make it pliable. Same concept, newer technology, better raw materials really allow the film to be stretched without having to soften them up.
What about on like the headlight there, that little circle radius? Will it stretch enough for that, or you have to seam that as well?
Where are you talking about?
Like right here on the little half moon?
Right here?
Yeah.
We're gonna lock it down right up to this edge, and then the headlight comes out to right here, so you're not gonna see an edge.
No, but I'm talking about the actual, so you're gonna have to put a seam, like a straight line, in order for that to sit, or will that stretch enough?
I think you're just talking about
headlight washer?
just in the valley. It'll lay down. It's going to lay down.
We can lay that down.
Okay, so we'll lay
Yeah.
there. You won't have to cut like here.
No.
No, that's not
Like
too
here,
aggressive.
you're gonna have to.
There's
So that's what I was talking about. So like this, as you fold this edge over, does this have to be cut?
no.
Oh,
I can get that.
I thought you were talking. I thought it would have to be cut there in order to lay down.
No, we can get that, and that's where I use a heat gun too. So it softens the film just a little
Okay,
bit,
all right.
where we can really contour the film around
Okay,
some of these edges.
Yeah. Yeah. What I was saying, I was assuming you had to make like a couple of cuts in order for that to sit.
The only time that you have to do that is on like really hard, drastic edges. Like on the Corvette, sometimes we have to notch out some of the really hard angles that we're wrapping in.
Gotcha.
But you're not going to see that when you're walking by. It's just less film there because it will bunch.
Everything in the headlight area will go flush.
Okay.
So what I do is I get the whole bumper down and then I'll work on the headlights.
Yeah. So much for my marathon. I missed the day yesterday. I couldn't do it.
No 4 miles.
I couldn't do it.
I was thinking about that. How'd your class go?
It was pretty good. We had some technical difficulties to start, but it actually turned out pretty good.
Cool.
On that subject, Matt, I don't want to hear you blaming us in some video down the road for you missing out in the marathon. We were not the catalyst for you not making this marathon time that you're looking for. Just for the record, so everyone knows.
Yeah, they can't hear you. You're not mic'd up. It's just too much awesome in my life to like commit as much as I want to commit. It's like I can only handle so much, At least that's my excuse of why I then go Twinkie crazy on Tuesday evening. I can crush me an entire box of oatmeal cream pies in about 45 seconds.
You don't have to chew them. You can just swallow them.
Yeah. Of the few talents I have in this world, one of them is eating in mass quantity. Like processed food, I'm immune to it. See, Dan, this is where I start sharing, stories of my life and, the trials and tribulations of successes and failures. This is what I need you to,
Start talking.
yeah, start bringing me some gold, nuggets of gold. When I start oversharing, I'm waiting for the day where I overshare too much and everybody says I'm out because I said the wrong thing. It's kind of odd that they opted for, because those black headlight washers are an option.
Yeah.
Like otherwise they come in chrome.
Mm-hmm.
You had black?
Yeah, they're like a satin black.
I've never seen
They're
them.
really
I thought they were all
nice.
chrome.
Well, you can get them. Normally, you would, if you're going to opt for a color, you'd opt for a body color.
Yeah.
The fact that it even has that is just ridiculous.
What, body color match?
No, I'm talking about headlight washers. It's the most
Oh.
ridiculous thing in the world. Like, who the heck uses that and why?
It's a European thing, isn't it?
Right. It's if you're in like the goat fields or whatever. You can, when you get splashed by a magical puddle of mud, then you can spray your headlights off for some reason. I guess it's no different than amber side markers in the U.S. It's just one of those laws that, for some reason, somebody legislated and they just don't legislate out of it because nobody cares as much as we do. Yeah, this is way better just filming. I still haven't really pictured this being at my house yet, you know? Like it hasn't really sunk in yet.
I wonder if there's a line going right now. If you'll sell it before it's actually done. Oh, what's the over-under percentage?
Well, that was fun. Let's get another one. Let's do the next one.
There.
So, if we're gonna do the headlights, we probably need to do those little turn signal lights too, don't
Are you talking wrapping the headlights?
we? Yeah.
Oh, you've made the decision that we're gonna wrap.
I thought you made the decision that we were going.
No. I think Jacob gave a very politically correct answer to that.
Yeah. I say we roll. Let's roll the dice.
You want to do it? You know, the next owner of this car.
I like the set. I like to test.
Test.
Luckily, I have another set of LEDs. You know, one of them's a little janky because it bounced about 8 feet up in the air when it was flying down the road at about 100 miles an hour. But I do have another one that's good. So, if for some reason 3 years from now it doesn't work out, we remove the film, then I have another set.
Okay.
I only have to buy one headlight. So I guess I'm a good
Guinea pig.
case study. I know many have done it and successfully removed the film.
Yeah, I mean that GT3 over there, the headlights are wrapped on that guy.
Yeah. And plus, I mean, this car isn't going to be sitting out in the sun for, weeks on end, And then like we talked about, the combination of the LEDs, hopefully emitting a little less heat.
And if you go to remove it, just use steam or a heat gun and carefully do it. I mean,
Right.
there's a big difference. You can hear these horror stories of people ripping paint off cars and delaminating headlights. Well, were they just like grabbing it and pulling it?
Right.
How old was the film? I mean, there's so many variables. The only time paint has gotten pulled once, Todd's probably gonna shoot for talking about this, but I've only pulled paint once, and it was on a really good customer of ours, 430, and we were pulling old paint. We bought a 430 at 430, and
This is like probably old school 3M or something like
old
that.
school
Yeah.
partial bumper.
Right.
And we were using steam, properly doing it, safely doing it, and just pulling the front fenders connect with right to the middle above the bumper. I was pulling it and pulled a huge piece of paint off. Well, I took it to the body shop and they ended up respraying the front end. And when they were sanding the old paint off, I think there was 4 resprays in that area from the factory, and never been resprayed outside the factory. 4 resprays from the factory, and the color coat didn't bond with the metal, and that's why it pulled. So, it does happen, but there's always some reason behind it.
But it's something that it needs to be a topic of conversation, that this isn't like, it's not foolproof. I mean, there's risk to doing anything. The process is taking a little less time than I thought it does. I mean,
Yeah, what takes the most time is the drying and the checking. With as many edges as there are, and especially as much disassembly as we're doing, we want to make sure the paint protection film's locked down and ready to go when we start reassembling. The last thing that we want to do is have an issue with the film, reassemble, and then have to go backwards.
Yeah.
So, can this be done in a couple days? Probably, but we're really cautious, and we've had a lot of situations and learned from experience that take your time with it. It's worthwhile to take your time with it. You're going to get a better result. The customer's going to be happy. We're going to be happy. We just don't rush. With detailing as well.
yeah.
People want to know how we get such good results. We spend 3 days on one car. Cars are here for a week.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at this. We'll have this car, just the detailing part. I mean, we have 3 or 4 different people working on it at different points. So we have just 15 man hours alone just in the paint correction.
And anybody can do it. I mean, anybody can lay film. Anybody can polish paint. It's taking your time with it, being methodical. What we offer a 2-day class, get people up and running with paint correction to the level that we're doing in 2 days. Film, there's a little bit more of a learning curve. It just takes time and experience with it. So that's the majority of the bumper, and then we seam together this lower piece. That goes up here, starts here, goes up, down, over here, and connects over in the middle. So it's a 2-piece bumper. We're going to let the edges dry, and then we'll wrap those after lunch as well. So we have a couple edges to wrap up here, right here, down here, and then over on the sides. But it's laid.
And so I don't understand how this adhesive works. You've already wet it, you've already hit it with alcohol in some instances, but it'll reactivate. I guess, obviously. So it's not like as soon as it gets wet, then you have a certain amount of time to get it stuck.
Not at all. So let's say we didn't wet it at all and just put a piece of paint protection film on the car. The adhesive's ready to go. That's dry adhesive.
Right.
So it's sticky. The slip solution, what that allows us to do is strategically stretch it to work out any fingers or any distortions.
So there's no activation of this. This is what it is.
Correct.
And then we're putting water in between, and then the water has to come out for it to stick.
Correct.
Yeah,
But the water doesn't deactivate it.
What he's describing from a manufacturing standpoint, we call that a pressure-sensitive adhesive. There are adhesives for some architectural and flat glass that have to be exposed to water for them to be sticky. And if there's no water,
Okay.
it's not sticky. That's kind of a flat glass thing. This is just like our window film. When you release the liner, it's sticky to the touch.
And the stuff is legit.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine a rock trying to get through that. That's the whole point, right? Pre-edge wrapped front bumper looks like. Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.